Hello everybody, how you guys are doing? Hope you guys are having a fantastic morning. It has been 12 days since I got my my second dose of the vaccine, and I just wanted to finally share my experience from that day and also share the journey that I took to recover. I'd also like to share some tips on what you should do after you've gotten the vaccine. Share some sites on where you can get the vaccine if you have yet to register. Add some additional information as far as what to do for travel, and state where we are in regards to the progress we've made with the COVID vaccine. Now, you're probably asking why it took so long for me to get this video out, and that's because I wanted to wait till I was fully recovered in order to give you guys the full scope of what happened, and also to be able to compare it to my experience with the first dose. So I'll be doing that, and stay tuned. So as you guys know, I've taken the Pfizer vaccine. The second day that I went there, it felt pretty much as the first day I went there. I walked along the Yankee Stadium. It was pretty empty until I got to the gate. So the first time I went there, the gate was pretty much empty. There was like 5 people there. The second time, for the second dose, that line was pretty long, and that's because there were first timers there mixed in with some second timers. That day had to be about 29 degrees. It was very, very windy. It was very cold. When I first went there, I stood in line for about 10 minutes until I got inside the stadium. With the second dose, I had to wait in line for almost 2 hours just to get in. That line was crazy. It was pretty much the same as far as the format. You go to the gate, you have to present either your card if you're getting the second dose, or if you're getting your first dose, you would present either your appointment through your phone or a printout of your appointment. So either way, you have to show proof before you even get towards the gate. Hey guys, so I'm at the center. The line is a little bit longer this time. Take a look. As I got closer to the entrance, we had to go through a metal detector just like the first time. Basically, you take your stuff, put it in the bin, go through the gate, and then after that, there's a person set up in front of the entrance to check your temperature before you go in. Once inside, you immediately get separated into 2 different lines. One was for the first dose and the other was for the second. Of course, the line for the second dose was way shorter than the first, and that's because around the time I had my first dose done, That was around the time the Yankee Stadium was just opening up to, to administer the shots. I remember around that time people were still hesitant about getting the vaccine, so naturally there weren't that many people that day. Also, people weren't getting their second dose yet, so that also contributed to the short wait time.
Hello everybody, welcome to Yankee Stadium. Please have your ID out and ready. Have your ID out and ready.
Once we got further into the line to get inside the vaccine center, we had greeters along the way, making sure that again we stay 6 feet apart. We wore our masks. We were safe and sound. Some of them made us laugh. Also, all the military people there, you felt safe. You felt safe. They made you feel comfortable. Even though it was a stressful environment to be in, they really made you feel as comfortable as they could. Mostly everybody there were military personnel. There were cop cars everywhere. I think I got a couple videos of the cop cars. So before I got in the vaccination center, I got to see the baseball field, which was awesome because I never saw the field. At least from the new Yankee Stadium was built, I never got a chance to go inside or see the baseball field. So I think that was a pretty awesome view. So once I got in the vaccine center, there were people cleaning the desks, the chairs where we were going to be sitting. Because once you go inside the vaccine center, you have to sit, give proof of whatever it is that they're asking you. IDs or the vaccine record card that I showed you earlier. If you don't have your ID, a passport would be a good alternative. Also, make sure you have this if this is your second time going, because they will ask you for this. So keep in mind, this is you cannot lose this. This is your life-saving card right here. This is what you're gonna use to travel. This is what you're gonna use for proof of anything, of work or anything related. This is your go-to. So please keep this somewhere safe and sound, and you'll be all right. One thing that I respected from that vaccine center was that the floors had stickers indicating how far apart you need to be from each other. So I thought that was a nice touch. Once it was my turn to get injected, a military personnel came up to me. They asked me what vaccine did I get. I told them Pfizer. Then they asked me if it was my first time there, my second time. I told them it was my second time. So they yelled the information across so that the person in charge of the medicine can know what it is that they're grabbing. Then I was referred to the nurse, and then they ran. Just like the first time, they ran with the needle. They gave it to the nurse, then the nurse injected me. But before that happened, I had asked the nurse if I was able to record the injection, and she gave me the okay. So I was able to record that piece for you guys.
First shot, one.
Oh.
Both of you, I just one person. Man, we're gonna have to redo your video.
It's okay. Just for the experience. Remember how the first time I told you guys that, they ask you about the allergies that you have and certain stuff like that. So I had to say, again, what I was allergic to, my sicknesses and all that. Since it was, my second time going, I didn't have to wait that long. The first time I had to wait 30 minutes. They gave you a tag with the time, date, and how long you were supposed to be there, and you had to wait that amount of time. The second time I went there, I only had to wait 15 minutes instead of the 30 minutes that I was required to the first time, only because the first time I didn't get a reaction of any kind. So they were like, you don't need to stay as long as the first time, but you do need to stay the 15 minutes. You cannot leave. I'm not gonna stress that enough. Once you are in the waiting room, there is a person there monitoring who goes in and out. So you have to wait your time, because if you get up and decide to leave, they're gonna check your tag. So whatever time it's there, they'll know. And you think you're getting out of there, you're not. So you might as well just trust me. I'm saying that because I've seen people make attempt to leave, and I'm just like, why don't you just wait the 15 minutes? You don't know what can happen in those 15 minutes, you know what I'm saying? So like, I didn't understand why people felt the need to get up and go. Like, I know it's your second dose, but no, okay, things can still happen. So yeah, it's required for you to stay that amount of time, and you should. You really should. So once I left the stadium, that line stretched all the way to the train station. It stretched the entire block. When I first went there, that whole block was empty. When I left, a lot of thoughts were running in my mind at that time. And one of them was, wow, there are so many people getting the vaccine. And this is amazing. This is really, really amazing. Hi guys, so I just got it done. I got the second vaccine done. I do feel the soreness in the arm. I actually felt it almost immediately. Yeah, sorry about that. My phone froze. But yeah, the line exiting was crazy. I went in. It was more people because the first and second doses were mixed. But the line wasn't as long as when I exited. When I exited, oh my god, the line was crazy. The first 15 minutes was a crucial time because I kind of didn't expect everything to happen so fast the way it did. The first time I took the shot, everything went so smoothly. In fact, I started feeling, remember how I told you I started feeling the symptoms that night? So I thought that I was gonna start feeling the symptoms either that night or even the next day. But I pretty much started feeling symptoms almost immediately. First, of course, it was the shoulder pain, and then my walk home was when my fever started to spike, and I couldn't grasp what was going on at first. I was going in and out of consciousness. I was feeling this just tiredness, of loss of energy. I thought that maybe maybe I walked too much or something. I don't know. I just thought that the loss of energy was coming from just me being tired, like just me being tired. Like I didn't expect that it had to do with the injection because I just got it. When I got home, I didn't grasp what was going on quite yet. I had my dinner. I was gonna set my camera up because I was gonna do a daily vlog, and I didn't even get around to it. My eyes started just closing on its own. I had no more energy to stand up. I just couldn't. It started becoming painful, so I sat down. I was like, okay, this feels right. Let me just take a break, and I'll get around to it later tonight. So I put a video on. I put some Animal Planet video on just to calm me down. And then after a while, I was like, I need to lay down. Okay, I need to lay down. My body was requesting to lay down. After a while, it hurt to even sit. Once I lay down, I rest my head in my pillow, closed my eyes, and that was it. Like, I didn't even see the first minute of the video. I didn't even get around to it. Like, once I lay down, I fell asleep. That was that. The pressure in my chest that came with the second dose was way different than the first. The first, basically, I felt pressure in my chest just a little bit, and then it went away by the end of the night. This time around, the pressure in my chest stayed. It didn't only stay though, it got worse over time. How I could explain this compared to me, because I suffer from asthma, and I also get pressure in my chest when I get asthma attacks. There's a difference though. When I get asthma, and I'm pretty sure you guys can relate, when you breathe in too much, you get almost a tickly sensation in your chest, and then you have the urge to cough. The difference between that and the COVID symptom is basically you inhale too much and it feels like knives stabbing in your chest. Like, it doesn't allow you to fully take the breath. It was like you had the urge to cough, but you really didn't. It's hard to explain, but I couldn't breathe fully. Like, there was just a stop to it, and that just took over. It took over everything, and I slept the entire day. I didn't wake up until like 3 or 4 in the morning, and that's when I realized, oh, I slept more than I needed to. This isn't okay. I need to jot down what I'm experiencing right now before anything else happens. Hello everybody. I'm sorry I wasn't able to post earlier. I'm on my soup break right now. When I came home, I was feeling very tired and groggy, and I fell asleep. I was gonna set the camera up to record the progress, but I got too tired. I was like, let me take a rest, and I just ended up falling asleep. And I was asleep the whole day after I came home. So I apologize, and I'm gonna make a big video. I'm wrapping all of this up instead of doing it day by day, because I just want time to recover. Everything hit me at once. I was surprised. I thought it was gonna happen tomorrow, but everything hit me today. It was unexpected. But I'm in my soup break. I'm gonna try to finish my soup, and then I'm gonna head right back to sleep and hope tomorrow's a better day for me. So see you guys then. Once I had woken up for the video, I had swollen eyes. Like I just couldn't keep them open. I didn't even know I can get that from this vaccine. The swelling of the eyes was a new thing for me. I don't even get that with, when I get allergies. For some reason, I got that with this, which was odd. The symptoms that I felt at the time was tiredness, rockiness, loss of energy, fatigue, fever, shoulder pain, the pressure in my chest that I was talking to you about, and I couldn't speak that much. I was like slurring a lot, and that's evident in the video that you guys just saw. I was, again, in and out of consciousness, trying to stay awake for the most part. When I had woken up after the video, I had woken up later that day, I felt worse. It's like, remember how the first time I said it felt like everything hit me at once? It felt like I was getting the worst of the worst. The fever that I had, it spread all over my body. It was very intense. Headache, it turned from, a regular headache to a migraine. Wheezing, I experienced a lot of wheezing from day 2 to day 3. Phlegm, I didn't even expect that to even be a symptom, but yeah, I kept, throwing up phlegm. Dizziness, shoulder pain, my shoulder pain worsened, like I couldn't even lift my arm. Swollen eyes. I don't know if any of you guys experienced that, but that time, day 2 and day 3, it was the worst. I barely got out of bed. I didn't want to see anything, no movie, no TV. I don't want to be on my phone, nothing. The only thing that I did in those 2 to 3 days after was crossword and Sudoku, word search, these type of brain games. Like, I didn't want to see any lights. The only time that I did this was in the daytime, and that was just to keep my mind off of what was going on. By day 3, it's gotten to a point where I started shaking uncontrollably. Like I was bedbound, but I was shaking. Like I couldn't do anything. By the end of day 3, I thought that I was gonna start feeling better by the 3rd day. Things just kept getting worse. By day 4, I was like, I need to do something before I end up in the hospital. So what I did by day 4, I got up. I started doing chores around the house. I cleaned my turtle's tank. In pain, mind you, I was in pain doing all this, but I was like, I absolutely refuse to go to the hospital because I know how I get. Every time I get sick, I don't get sick normally like anybody else. Like, it's not just a 1 or 2 day thing. I get panicked because every time I get sick, I get hospital bound. Like, it gets to that point. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 days. I'm talking about 2 to 3 months of me suffering from whatever it is that I'm suffering, whether it's allergies, whether it's asthma. I get it very severely. I get all those, anything that anybody gets and I get from them, I get it 10 times worse than they'll ever have to experience. That's why I get so panicked every time I get sick. And that's the main reason why I was so hesitant of getting this vaccine, because I was like, I don't want to go through it. I have been good all year. All 2020 I have been, masking up, doing what they said, keeping the distance, not seeing as many people, going out only when necessary. I have been responsible all year for me to just get sick I did not want to be hospital-bound. So by day 4, I was like, I need to do something because I'm not gonna go to the hospital. I started getting up. I started, like I said, doing chores. By day 5, that's when things started to, turn around little by little. By day 5, the shoulder pain was still there, but that's when it started lessening. I still couldn't lift my arm, but it was more manageable than day 2 or day 3. My energy started to increase little by little. The pressure in my chest was still there. Like, it was not going away. I could not take any full breaths. Even now, I still, it hasn't returned to normal. And that's the reason why I was hesitant to make this, because I'm still feeling the pressure in my chest. It hasn't gone away. I don't know how long, how many more days, I need to be with this. I don't know. It hasn't gone away. I can't take full breaths at all. But I'm optimistic. So there you go with that. The grogginess was going away. Man, let me tell you, when I get sick, I'm just like, everybody just stay away from me. Just stay away. This is a very painful journey. From day 6 to day 10, it was a very slow recovery. The tiredness slowly went away. By day 10, everything was pretty much okay. My energy recovered. The fevers, I would say it lasted up until day 8, day 9, day 8, day 9. So it was pretty recent. The wheezing has gone down. No more phlegm. No more dizziness. I started sleeping regularly. I didn't sleep so much as I did the first few days. But the only thing that I can say is that the pressure in my chest is still there. I do feel it less than I did when I first got it in the first few days. But I'm not paying no mind to it. I'm just going about my day, just waiting for one day for it to just be gone. But yeah, it's now day 11 to day 12. I'm pretty much back to normal. I'll get through it. So now I got 2 doses I'm gonna be going clubbing, I'm going to the beach, I'm going to eat with my friends, I'm gonna go out. No, do not do this. Just because you got the second dose doesn't mean that you can go out and party and do whatever it is that you want to do. The CDC still recommends 2 weeks until you can resume your normal activities. 2 weeks. So don't think that just because you got your second dose and you haven't experienced anything with it, that means that you can go jollying around and whatnot. No, still have to wait your 2 weeks. Once you do your 2 weeks, then. So now you got the vaccine, you've waited 2 weeks. What should you do now? The CDC has created guidelines as far as what you can start doing as soon as you're in the clear.
You got your COVID-19 vaccine, so now what? The CDC releasing new guidance for the 30 million Americans who are fully vaccinated so far. Joining me now, Dr. Kwabena Patel, NBC News medical contributor and former Obama White House health policy director. Dr. Patel, a big takeaway from this guidance that a lot of people are excited about. Fully vaccinated grandparents can visit their unvaccinated grandkids. What else can fully vaccinated people do?
Yeah, Allison, it's great news. And fully vaccinated people, and as a reminder, that's 2 weeks past your second dose or 2 weeks past your first and only dose if it's a one-dose vaccine. That means fully vaccinated. You can get together with people outside your household and family who are also fully vaccinated in a small gathering, indoors, without a mask, without a distance. I'm a doctor. I recommend you keep washing your hands, but no mask makes a big difference to have people get together and have social events, be able to hug, be able to touch each other. And that's probably the best news as a incentive to go and get that vaccine as soon as it's offered to you.
So, even though you could be around people, close family members without wearing a mask, you could resume your life normally. I personally would say still wear your masks because there's still people that haven't been vaccinated, even though the risk of you transmitting the virus is very low. Low risk does not mean no risk. Okay, basically treat everybody you don't know and everybody that hasn't been vaccinated as if they have the virus, just because it'll keep you and others safe.
Every time that there's a surge in travel, we have a surge in cases in this country. We are really trying to restrain travel at this current period of time, and we're hopeful that our next set of guidance will have more science around what vaccinated people can do.
But we know people are traveling more. The numbers from the TSA show that even though infection rates are still high in our country. What kind of guidance would you like to see here on traveling? And if our viewers do need to travel, they have somewhere they need to be, what should they be doing?
Yeah, Allison, let me do that last question first. If people are traveling, treat everyone you come into contact with as if they might have COVID. It just gives you a little bit more heightened awareness. The more people you come into contact with, the more chances you have of getting or potentially giving the virus. Even if you're fully vaccinated, the preliminary data, and this was in the CDC briefing, shows that you are much lower likely to kind of give the virus to someone else, but we don't want to take any chances. And then to your first part of the question, what we really need to look at is where you're traveling from and where you're going to, Allison, in terms of the rates of transmission and the positivity rate. If you're still seeing high rates of the virus, over 5% of tests are positive, for example, then you're going into an area, unfortunately like Florida, where you still have a high chance of going into something and having somebody get exposed to COVID. So that's the type of example of how to be mindful as we're heading into spring and Easter breaks.
They're still not recommending you go to like a high public place, a crowded place. They're still not recommending that. What they're starting to recommend is you go into your close family, your friends, like a low volume of people environment. They're not recommending huge public spaces yet. They're still waiting for people to get vaccinated. We still have a lot to go.
People are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after receiving the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine or after the second dose of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. The CDC says those who are fully vaccinated can visit others who are fully vaccinated indoors without a mask or social distancing. Visit with unvaccinated people from a single household without a mask if those people are at low risk for COVID, younger with no comorbidities. If vaccinated people are exposed to someone who's COVID positive, there should be no reason to quarantine if they're asymptomatic. So far, the evidence suggests it's unlikely that fully vaccinated people spread the virus. But because that's not definite, the CDC is still urging vaccinated people to wear masks in public, like grocery stores, to protect the unvaccinated and encourage others to do the same.
We see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we're still in the tunnel. It's not that hard to wear a mask. Just wear a mask. Assume everybody you come in contact with is probably infected with this virus, because it's possible, and protect yourself.
And with spring break season now underway, the CDC continues to advise against travel for now.
Therefore, everyone, whether vaccinated or not, should continue to avoid medium and large-size gatherings, as well as non-essential travel.
Only 10% of all Americans have been vaccinated. That's still not, we still have not reached herd immunity. So in this time, be mindful of other people, wear your masks, still treat this very delicately, because you can still get it. Even though you're low risk, you can still get it. Even though you're low risk, you can still transmit it. So don't think that you're completely out of the water, because again, low risk does not mean no risk. So please be responsible, still wash your hands as normal, still follow the protocols that need to be followed, wear your masks. Don't think you're out of the woods yet. We're not out of the woods. Probably, I'll say until summer, because from what I'm hearing, in May they're gonna start giving enough vaccines where everybody can get it. If you have to travel, I would recommend you researching the area that you're going to before making the trip, because if it's too high risk, you can still, the chances of you getting it and transmitting it is gonna be higher. Right now they're not recommending travel just yet. Again, we're waiting till we reach herd immunity, so just be patient. In fact, it's only a couple of weeks ahead, so yeah, just be patient, guys. I know we've had a tough year. It's been hell for most of us. We've lost a lot of people along the way. Just be respectful to those who've passed. Be respectful to those that still have it and haven't fully recovered. And be respectful to those who are at risk.
Well, Tom, while about 10% of the population has been vaccinated, I know there's great concern about high levels of the virus nationwide.
Yeah, nearly 60,000 new cases every single day, 2,000 deaths every single day, and the new variants are in every state in the country. So the CDC says the risk remains very high, Lester.
All right, Tom, thanks. Let's bring in our senior medical correspondent, Dr. John Torres. Now, John, given the little we know about COVID and the vaccine, what's the risk of indoor gatherings, especially for kids and teens?
Lester, it depends. If we're talking moderate to large indoor gatherings, especially where people are not wearing masks or social distancing, even for teens or kids, the risks are high of catching and spreading coronavirus. But if we're talking about small private gatherings, like say with grandparents who are fully vaccinated, that risk is low. It basically comes down to the fact that we know the vaccine does a good job at protecting you from getting COVID. What we don't know is how good of a job it does at preventing you from spreading the virus to others, including the more vulnerable.
Now, should people get tested even after being vaccinated?
Actually, Lester, no. The CDC has said even if exposed to COVID-19, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't need testing, you don't need quarantining unless you develop symptoms.
There are some sites that I recommend in case you want to get registered to get your vaccine. One of them is planyourvaccine.com. It gives you all the information in your area as far as the cases, as far as recovery rate. has all the information that you need to know, including where to get tested and whatnot. Another site that I would recommend is vaccinefinder.nyc.gov. All the links will be above in the description box or below, depending on where I post this. The pharmacies are open now, so you guys can get vaccinated in the pharmacies, so please check that out. Also, I'm going to recommend you the site that I did. The site is called somosvaccination.mbland.com. The link will be above or below. I'll make sure to provide that for you guys. If you need assistance in making an appointment and you rather call than work the situation online, there is a phone number for that. The phone number is 833-697-4829. Again, that's 833-697-4829 or 833-NYS4VAX. And basically what that does is they do everything for you over the phone. I know a lot of people have a hard time. They rather make a call because it's what they feel comfortable with. So I'm gonna leave that number also in the description box. If you came down with COVID, or if you're going through the COVID symptoms, if you're positive for it, don't fret. There is a treatment available, and you need to ask your doctor or wherever you go for this treatment. Guaranteed it will reduce the symptoms. You will get better very fast. Here is more on what that treatment is about.
Vaccines aren't the only game changers in the fight against COVID. There are big advancements in treatment, too. NBC News investigative and consumer correspondent Vicki Nguyen shows us how these treatments can change and even save lives.
They're called monoclonal antibodies, proteins made in a lab to combat coronavirus. When they're injected into a patient who's sick with COVID-19, they can help that person recover within a day or two. But doctors say the problem is not enough people know this treatment is available. This evening, one family's urgent message and an exclusive look inside one of these infusion centers where this treatment is now available.
The country was riveted. President Trump airlifted to Walter Reed Hospital after being diagnosed with COVID-19. 3 days later, out of the hospital and touting his treatment, he received monoclonal antibodies.
They gave me Regeneron, and it was like unbelievable.
Regeneron and Lilly, two companies now granted the FDA's emergency use authorization for their monoclonal antibody treatments. But the Goldhair family in Arizona says more people need to know it exists.
I know it saved me, and it saved my son.
Now, HHS is working with hospitals and clinics to set up infusion centers nationwide, even launching this locator website to help people find treatment.
I'm here inside an infusion center in Teaneck, New Jersey. This is where COVID-19 patients receive the monoclonal antibody treatment. We're getting a rare look inside before it opens. With me now is Dr. Thomas Birch. Dr. Birch, what happens when a patient with COVID-19 comes here?
A patient who is pre-registered comes here, takes a seat, and if everything is in order, then we start an IV and give an infusion of the antibodies.
Antibodies are mixed with saline. The infusion takes about an hour, then the patient stays for another hour under observation before going home.
What have you yourself seen from treating patients with this?
There was one man who was literally bedbound, and after 48 hours, he got up, brushed his teeth, and said, "I feel recovered." And he was 91 years old.
Dr. Birch says patients should try to get the infusion within 2 to 5 days after developing symptoms. You're eligible for the treatment if you have mild to moderate COVID-19 and test positive and you're 65 or older. Patients 12 and up can also get the monoclonal antibodies if they're in a high-risk group, including those who are obese, chronically ill, or immune compromised.
4 months ago, you had to be president of the United States to get this therapy outside of a research trial. Now it's available to anyone.
Should people be discouraged from getting one of these monoclonal antibody treatments because they're not as effective against the variant?
No, I think treatment ought to be given. The monoclonals are the best we have at the moment.
As for the cost of these treatments, Dr. Birch says the medicine is paid for by the government. There may be a small administration fee that's charged to insurance, but he says there should be no out-of-pocket cost to the patient. And we should mention the FDA says the side effects include fever, chills, maybe an injection site reaction, which is why it's so important for patients to be monitored for an hour after receiving the infusion.
Like I showed you, the monoclonal antibody treatment, that is an option for you when you go to the hospital. Please make sure to ask for that. Some of them do not bring that up unless you bring it up. So just make sure, you know, wherever you're going, they have that option available. If not, go to some place where they do have it available and check it out for yourself. I mean, there is treatment. That's a positive step forward. Hopefully there'll be more treatments that will recover way faster, and there'll be more treatments that will cover the new strains that are coming out now. So yeah, just check it out. I've also been recommended this drink. It was recommended by one of my friends, my friend named Katrina, and she recommends a tea using oranges, lemons, limes, ginger, turmeric, and eucalyptus leaves. She had COVID and she said that the tea pretty much helped her recover quickly. So if you guys want to try it, I've tried it. Can't say it's the best tasting tea out there, but it is a good tea to try out if you guys believe in home remedies. I also like to say to Katrina that I'm really glad that you've recovered fully and recovered well. I wish you luck on your first and second doses, or first if you're getting Johnson & Johnson. I really wish you a full recovery, a fast recovery, and I wish you good health. So, where are we now with all of this? Well, there's 120 million cases worldwide. Out of those 120 million, 67.7 million people have fully recovered. In the States, there are now 60,000 new cases a day, 2,000 deaths every single day, unfortunately. And the new variants are in every state in the country. I mean, look, we still have a long way to go. It's a process, but we're getting there nonetheless. I doubt we'll ever get to the place where we were before COVID, but the fact that we're heading in a more positive light, it just, you know, it says a lot about how strong we are together. I like to give a big thanks to all those who made the vaccine and treatments possible. You know, all those who donated, all those who sacrificed their time and effort into making sure their family, friends, loved ones, and strangers had the help that they needed. Katie Porter, thank you so much for making sure that we had free vaccines available for everybody, regardless of their insurance.
Dr. Kadlik, for someone without insurance, do you know the out-of-pocket cost of a complete blood count test?
No, ma'am, not immediately.
Do you have a ballpark?
With a copay?
No, the out-of-pocket, just the typical cost.
I do not, ma'am.
Okay, a CBC typically costs about $36. What about the out-of-pocket cost for a complete metabolic panel?
Ma'am, I'd have to pass on that as well.
You have any idea? You want to take a ballpark?
I would say $75.
Okay, 58.
Getting closer.
How about flu A? The flu A test.
Ma'am, again, I would take a guess at about maybe 50.
43. Flu, this is like the Price is Right. Flu B.
Too high again. I would probably say 44.
That's good. How about the cost of an ER visit for someone identified as high severity and threat?
I'm sorry, ma'am, what was the question?
How about the cost of an ER visit for somebody identified as having high severity or high threat?
High severity, ma'am, that's probably about $3,000 to $5,000.
Okay. That is $1,151. This all totals up to $1,331. That's assuming they aren't kept in isolation. Isolation can add up for one family already, $4,000. And fear of these costs are going to keep people from being tested, from getting the care they need, and from keeping their communities safe. We live in a world where 40% of Americans cannot even afford a $400 unexpected expense. We live in a world where 33% of Americans put off medical treatment last year. And we have a $1,331 expense, conservatively, just for testing for the coronavirus. Dr. Redfield, do you want to know who has the coronavirus and who doesn't?
Yes.
Not just rich people, but everybody who might have the virus?
All of America.
Dr. Redfield, are you familiar with 42 CFR 71.30, excuse me? 42 CFR 71.30. The Code of Federal Regulations that applies to the CDC. 42 CFR 71.30.
I think if you could frame what it talks about, that would help me. I
Okay.
relate.
Dr. Redfield, I'm pretty well known as a questioner on the Hill for not tipping my hand. I literally communicated to your office last night and received confirmation that I was going to be asking you about 42 CFR 71.30. This provides the director may authorize payment for the care and treatment of individuals subject to medical exam, quarantine, isolation, and conditional release.
That I know about, and my office did tell me that. I just didn't know the numbers, ma'am, as Congresswoman.
Great, so you're familiar. Dr. Redfield, will you commit to the CDC right now using that existing authority to pay for diagnostic testing free to every American regardless of insurance?
Well, I can say that we're going to do everything to make sure everybody can get the care they need.
Reclaiming my time. Dr. Redfield, you have the existing authority. Will you commit right now to using the authority that you have vested in you under law that provides in a public health emergency for testing, treatment, exam, isolation without cost? Yes or no?
What I'm going to say is I'm going to review it in detail with CDC and the department.
Reclaiming my time. Dr. Redfield, respectfully, I wrote you this letter along with my colleagues, Rosa DeLaura and Lauren Underwood, Congressman Underwood and Congressman DeLaura. We wrote you this letter 1 week ago. We quoted that existing authority to you and we laid out this problem. We asked for a response yesterday. The deadline and the time for delay has passed. Will you commit to invoking your existing authority under 42 CFR 71.30 to provide for coronavirus testing for every American regardless of insurance coverage?
What I was trying to say is that CDC is working with HHS now to see how we operationalize that.
Dr. Redfield, I hope that answer weighs heavily on you, because it is going to weigh very heavily on me and on every American family.
Our intent is to make sure every American gets the care and treatment they need at this time of this major epidemic, and I'm currently working with HHS to see how to best operationalize it.
Dr. Redfield, you don't need to do any work to operationalize. You need to make a commitment to the American people so they come in to get tested. You can operationalize the payment structure tomorrow.
I think you're an excellent questioner, so my answer is yes.
Excellent. Everybody in America hear that. You are eligible to go get tested for coronavirus and have that covered regardless of insurance. Please, if you believe you have the illness, follow precautions. Call first. Do everything the CDC and Dr. Fauci, God bless you, for guiding Americans in this time. But do not let a lack of insurance worsen this crisis.
Thank you for that. I will never forget that. I would also like to give my condolences to all those families that lost a loved one during the pandemic. My heart goes out to you. I hope that we'll never forget them. I hope that we'll never forget this experience. I'd say this experience has humbled all of us. And if we have not learned or grew from this, then can't really say much. I mean, we are strong. We are very strong. I love you guys, and I'm very, very happy to see most of you guys get vaccinated. It brings me joy because I know we're heading in a more positive direction. So keep doing what you're doing, keep being great people. I love you guys.